Welcome to the Revolutionary CEO Podcast. I'm your host, Letitia Lynch, adaptable marketing strategist, boy mom, and CEO who believes in making marketing work for you. Are you the kind of service provider that says, if I can just get a lead on the phone, I'm definitely going to close the sale? Because obviously you know what you have to offer is good, and you know you're an excellent listener. You've coached or worked with enough people that within 5 minutes into a conversation, you already know how to help them and that you will be able to help solve their problem. The only problem is you aren't attracting enough leads to get the opportunity to have that sales call. And you aren't attracting enough people to have those DM conversations either. You have a lack of enough leads problem. And your ultimate goal is to have sales momentum where you're booking your services from your regular content schedule and keeping that momentum up every month without having to launch to do it. And speaking of not having to launch to do it, see episode 62 linked in the show notes about 3 ways to have a launch optional lead generation process to increase your leads and speed up your sales, making launching an option but not a requirement. Look, I want you to know that if you had a marketing, like a full marketing system that not only generated leads for you, whether you were actively marketing or not, but also drove eyes, meaning traffic, to your sales pages and sold for you, you would have enough leads to sell to and actually be making passive sales too. So every year at Revolutionary Society, I make sure I add something to it to make everyone's lives easier. And this year, the goal was to help people increase their leads so that they would have more people to sell to. But the goal was to be able to increase leads and sales while also reducing the amount of time that they were spending actively posting content, going live, recording episodes and videos, creating content ideas. And so this was inspired by just how many of my clients had babies this year. Some were most were new moms, but some had second babies. Also, so many of them just experienced unexpected losses, like how my cat unexpectedly passed away, and unexpected health scares or emergencies, like when my mom's car accident would have literally taken her out of work for weeks if she had been working. So I created a 90-day marketing rhythm roadmap for the members to follow to help them create a sustainable lead generating system. It's essentially where you'll create your marketing strategy and 90-day plan to increase your leads and sales while decreasing the amount of time that you actively spend on marketing activities. And what this looks like is making sure that people will find their content on their website from search engines and search platforms. And it also looks like leveraging email, not just sending your newsletter or something like that, but leveraging lead magnets and having people find those lead magnets from, again, those search platforms, but also having them go through funnels, sales funnels, and email sequences, depending on what they're clicking and how often they're clicking, and how they're tagged in your email system to move them through their journey of learning about your brand and getting closer to making buying decisions without you actively having to be involved in that process. And we'll all be doing that together over the course of 90 days so that, again, most of that marketing work is happening without them actively having to be posting on something like social media. You can learn more about Revolutionary Society at the link in the show notes. When service providers lack enough leads to sell to, the automatic reaction is to post more content. And while that does work, obviously that's going to work, that's not sustainable. And sustainability is definitely going to be the focus for 2025, is it not? Right? Because that's how you got burnt out and started hating marketing in the first place. So in this episode, we're going to talk about some reasons service providers typically struggle to attract enough leads so that you'll know how you got here in the first place so we can prevent it from happening moving forward. The number one type of content that attracts the highest quality leads who are searching for solutions to their problems that they've already confirmed that they have. And the top free way to increase your leads that doesn't involve you spending more time actively marketing. So first, let's talk about some of the reasons why service providers typically struggle to attract enough leads so that you'll know how you got here in the first place so that we can prevent it from happening moving forward. So let's start off with this. You know that lead magnet you spent all that time creating and launching at the beginning of the year? How often have you promoted that lead magnet since? Most lead magnets get abandoned after their first launch and are only ever promoted during the launches of programs or services for like 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and that's it. The problem with that is the point of the lead magnet was to grow your email list full of people who were supposed to go through that email sequence that you spent all that time writing, and you needed enough people to go through that email sequence. You needed at least 100 to 200 people minimum to start gathering the data to determine whether or not those emails and that lead magnet is doing a good enough job of selling your offer for you. Remember, it was about making sales in your sleep. Most people stop marketing those lead magnets before even hitting the download threshold and then move on to a phase that I like to call lead magnet overproduction, where they create another lead magnet because the first one didn't perform well, when really the bad performance was yours on the side of the promotion. And then the other reason you struggle to attract leads is because you lack enough visibility, and you might be thinking it's because I hate posting on social media. And I know that most marketing coaches will tell you, you gotta suck it up until you get some traction, but I'm actually not going to say that. My response is actually going to be, then what else are you willing to do for visibility? Do you have a budget for ads? Are you willing to guest coach or interview on podcasts? How about submitting for speaking engagements? How about local networking groups? You need an avenue for visibility to your brand and someone with an audience full of leads for you to sell to because of it. And if it's going to be social media, then let's adjust your expectations now of the volume of people you expect to see you. Don't expect to go viral. And if you prioritize the feed for content that leads to something of value, like a lead magnet or a longer piece of content that will give them in-depth value and context, you'll get more leads if you do that without having to post more often. Because a lot of times y'all are just doing like these reels and short formy content, like, I don't know, graphics and quotes. That's not really helping you with the leads that you need. So if you prioritize the format of content that gets the most visibility and adds the right keywords and leverages visibility strategies that are available on the platform, like hashtags, tagging people, shares, and stories, you'll get the visibility that you need from the social content. But one of the biggest reasons of all that you're not attracting enough leads usually has to do with the lack of consistency with the content. And by consistency, I don't mean frequency. It just means that you need to commit to a regular schedule and stick with it so that the platform you're marketing on's algorithm will give you visibility and push your content, and your audience will actually expect and seek out your content. But when you disappear for these long periods of time, you actually lose momentum and traction, leaving room for other people to take your place as the source of that information. So now let's talk about that number one type of content that actually attracts the highest quality leads who are searching for solutions to their problems that they've already confirmed they have. You want those problem-aware people, because you don't want to just attract leads. I know you say you just want leads, but it's more than that, because I bet you want to attract people who buy faster than some of those people you attract right now. It shouldn't take people 6 months to a year before they invest with you. So the more you can get them to consume this one type of content, the more likely it will attract leads who are ready to buy. And it's long form content. You probably already know I was going to say that. Why? Well, because hopefully you're creating long form content that's based on research you've done on the top questions your buyers have about what you do. And when they have the answers to those questions, read objections, they will be ready to buy. And the reason this will attract the folks who are ready to buy is because they are searching for the answers to their problem, meaning they are looking for solutions. They're not confused. They are looking for help, and whoever has the answer will be who they invest in. And then, of course, speaking of long form content, that brings me to my last point. The top free way to increase your leads that doesn't involve you spending time actively marketing is also where this long content should be housed, and that is on an SEO-based platform like a blog on your website, a podcast that, again, people should be able to get to from your website and, read your show notes at the very least, or YouTube. And the reason for this is because it helps you with attracting leads without you actively doing anything, because SEO just means people who are actively searching on their own for what you cover in your content will be directed to your content by search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, or search platforms like Pinterest or YouTube. And as long as you're using the words that people would use themselves in their search, they'll find your content when they're looking for it, even if you posted it like 2 years ago. No ads are necessary. So in your second month in Revolutionary Society, as a part of that new 90-day roadmap, we actually focus on SEO and finding the words that your audience uses to search for the support that you offer, and then the questions that they are asking, so that you can plan out your long form content to sit on the search-based platform so people can find you without you being active. This is the start of you increasing your leads while decreasing the time you spend actively marketing. We have even special trainings from a YouTube specialist, a podcast specialist, and an SEO specialist, and we even have a training on blogging to make sure you're generating leads for your business from day one, again, without you always having to be active. The link to join Revolutionary Society is going to be in the show notes. So today, we talked about why you lack enough leads to sell to, whether it was because you didn't promote your lead magnet enough, you haven't prioritized visibility to get in front of leads, or you aren't consistent enough for leads to grow to trust your brand. You now know what the problem is. I also shared how long-form content is the number one type of content that will attract the highest quality of leads and convert them into paying clients faster, and how putting that long-form content on an SEO-based platform is the free way to attract leads without you actively having to post new content. So by taking my advice today, you can get out of your leads rut so you have enough people to sell to, because we both know once you get them on that call, it's a done data. And if you want to have leads and sales overflow without putting in the content creation overtime, then of course join Revolutionary Society by visiting revolutionarysociety.com or clicking the link in the show notes. See you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the Revolutionary CEO podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform and leave a review to let me know the moments you enjoyed most. Spotify users and YouTubers, leave me a comment with your biggest takeaway or questions from the episode. And be sure to connect with me on Instagram, YouTube, or Threads. I'm always at Her Marketing Coach. Talk to you next week.